guys, and welcome back for another episode of Peak Nutrition for Peak Performance. I'm Bella, and this week I'll be exploring the nutrition plan of a field hockey athlete and the types of foods needed to progress his performance. As always, I'll be answering as many questions as I can through our Twitter handle at PNFPP, so make sure you're listening and keep them coming. This week, our athlete is 25-year-old Jack Hayes, who was named in the Australian Kookaburras national hockey squad late last year. Hayes will be adapting a nutrition plan to be at peak condition for his upcoming selection, determining his spot in the international team for next year's inaugural Pro League, the Oceania Cup, and the 2020 Olympics. For those of you who are unfamiliar with international hockey, it is played with 15-minute quarters with 3 to 4 minutes breaks between each one. This caters for the higher intensity and allows athletes more recovery intervals. According to nutritionist James Carter, hockey is characterised by periods of moderate intensity interspersed by short periods of high intensity, therefore requires both the aerobic and anaerobic energy systems for peak performance. To meet the demands of both energy systems, hockey players such as Hayes need to ensure their diet and nutrition supplies them with the correct fuels whilst in competition. Through adopting the nutrition plan shown on your screen, Hayes will enable himself to perform at his maximal ability come game day. Through the nutritional and recovery components a plan offers, athletes similar to Hayes can effectively continue their progression in their sport and maintain their high-intensity training and match schedule. It is suggested that the nutritional program will help the athlete improve their ability to resist fatigue, improve recovery, better their training ability, improve matchday performance, immune function, prevent overtraining, and improve the mood and alertness. So what is really needed for Hayes in the lead up to competition, and what should he be consuming? Well, in the week prior to competition, it is crucially important that Hayes focuses on eating a balanced diet in preparation for exercise. As field hockey is an intermittent sport lasting between 60 and 90 minutes, large amounts of research suggest that normal glycogen stores are efficient enough to fuel the body for competition. However, as glycogen is a stored compound of glucose, a simple sugar found in most carbohydrates, to fuel his activity lifestyle and ensure that his glycogen stores remain in the normal range, Hayes should consume 5 to 9 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight. As field hockey is a physically demanding sport, the nutritional plan below incorporates both complex carbohydrates, high-quality proteins, and essential fats. Complex carbohydrates, commonly known as starchy carbs, enables the body a continued fuel source throughout the day. Regarding the glycemic index, a scale which determines how much foods raise blood glucose levels, complex carbohydrates are stored 55 and less, meaning they are digested slowly, resulting in a gradual rise in blood glucose levels, causing a prolonged expenditure of energy. As the bird chirps, the first question of the night comes from @ClaraGrace72, asking, in scientific terms, what exactly are complex carbs, and do you need to eat a large amount every week to cater for hockey's needs? So that's a really good question, Clara. As stated, complex carbs are starchy foods such as bread, pasta, and rice. Complex carbohydrates are made up of complex sugars, which takes the body longer to break down and use, extending the period of energy provision. In regards to if you should consume a far greater amount in the week prior to competition, studies have showed that by just prioritizing carbohydrate levels 24 to 36 hours, and in the absence of muscle damage, muscle glycogen stores can be normalized through rest and adequate carbohydrate intake. As seen on your screens, high-carbohydrate meals such as stir-fried noodles and sweet potato pizzas are provided to ensure glycogen stores are normalized before competition. Essential fats contribute to roughly 25% of the athlete's energy intake. Research suggests that essential fats, specifically omega-3 fatty acids, are vitally important for brain and retina development. This enables better brain activity and faster decision-making when in gameplay scenario. As seafood is a great source of omega-3 and protein, 3 fish meals are provided. Sushi as a post-game snack, and steamed fish with noodles, as well as fish with high-carb vegetables for dinner options. In the nutritional plan, it is visible that there is no takeaway options or fast food for the athlete in competition. This allows Hayes the avoidance of saturated fats, as they can cause numerous health problems impacting performance ability. Overall, in regard to fat intake, Hayes should consume healthy fats in moderation, as the body is able to use it as energy when glycogen is no longer available. Hayes should aim to eat approximately 2 grams of fat per kilo of body mass per day through foods such as milk, fish, nuts, and other dairy products. In the event, Hayes needs to ensure he continues to avoid dehydration. When dehydrated, studies show that the athletes are unable to perform at their maximal ability, in addition to having reduced cognitive decision-making skills. To maintain hydration, it is advised that Hayes consume at least the recommended 2 litres of water per day, in addition to accommodating periods of high intensity and or long duration exercise by rehydrating 150% of the fluid loss whilst in recovery. Further, in regard to hydration, it is noted that fluids such as fruit juice, flavoured milk, and isotonic sports drinks are used in the nutrition plan as they provide further carbohydrates and or proteins whilst rehydrating the athlete as well. So to more questions now, at Jordan383 asks, what should Hayes and other hockey athletes eat on the day of competition, and is pre-comp food really needed? Optimally, the pre-competition/training meal should be consumed 3 to 4 hours prior to the event and be rich in carbohydrates, which are low on the glycemic index. This ensures energy is provided well into the game. Meals such as baked beans, rice dishes, and porridge are great examples of meals which will meet the high carbohydrate demand. As the depletion of body carbohydrate stores is a major cause of fatigue during exercise, by consuming a low glycemic index meal, Hayes will allow his body enough time to digest the food, reducing the chances of gastronomical upsets, yet allowing for a longer period of energy expenditure throughout the game. As a pre-event meal aims to continue to fuel muscle glycogen stores, restore liver glycogen stores from daily activity, ensure that the athlete is well hydrated, and prevent hunger in the oncoming match, the pre-comp meal is absolutely crucial to performance. Within the remaining 1 to 2 hours before the match, Hayes should consume a small to moderate amount of simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are ranked as having a high glycemic index between 70 and 100, meaning blood glucose spikes resulting in a rapid increase of energy. By consuming this small amount of simple carbs, Hayes will receive an increased amount of energy, bettering his performance. The pre-game snack should include foods such as fruits, yogurt, or peanut butter on rice cakes, but should avoid fats and proteins as the body needs a longer period of time to digest them. In addition to this pre-game snack/meal, Hayes should consume 200 to 600 millilitres of additional fluid before the game to ensure his body maintains hydrated. This will allow Hayes to perform at his maximal ability through the early onset of fatigue that dehydration can bring. In the nutritional plan, when Hayes partakes in high-intensity training/match play, it is noted that dried fruits and fruit buns are used as they are easily digested, cause minimal gastrointestinal issues, and provide a burst of energy. Now that we know what Hayes should be consuming in the week prior to competition, what about during competitive matches? We'll find out after this short break from our sponsor Woolworths.
Well, this Fresh Market update is all about apples.
And Jazz are back in season. Ideal growing weather has produced juicy fruit that's full of flavour.
It's also a great time for Kanzi. They've got delicious flavour that's a nice balance of sweet and tangy.
And expect to see Pink Lady in store in the next couple of weeks. They're sweet and crisp with beautiful colouring.
That's this week's Fresh Market update, brought to you by Woolworths.
For those of you who are just joining us, I have just begun explaining what field hockey player Jack Hayes should be consuming during competition and how implementing this plan will better his performance. Throughout the match, nutritional refueling can be hard to achieve due to the little amount of time between quarters and substitutions. To achieve both carbohydrate refueling and hydration, the use of isotonic sports drinks is advised. Isotonic sports drinks quickly rehydrate and provide their athlete with 4 to 8 grams of carbohydrates per 100 ml of fluid to replenish low glycogen stores. Furthermore, the sodium aids in the retention of the fluid without stopping the thirst mechanism. It is recommended that Hayes should consume roughly 200 millilitres per quarter of isotonic sports drinks such as Powerade or Gatorade. Depending on the athlete's wants, Hayes may not wish to consume sports drinks. If this is the case, Hayes should ensure to drink 200 to 300 millilitres every 15 to 20 minutes to replenish water lost through sweat, and consider other options such as small amounts of high carbohydrate loaded sports gels. Janelle, this time from @hockeyplayer1012 saying, I heard that people need different amounts of water depending on how much they sweat. Is this true? And if so, how can you tell how much water you need? Also, what happens if Hayes' fuel becomes depleted or he becomes dehydrated? Well, yes. People do sweat at different rates and do need to take this into consideration when hydrating during and after competition. To determine if you or Hayes needs further fluids, you must determine your sweat rate by comparing pre- and post-body weight before replacing any kilos lost with the corresponding amount of water. This will give you an estimate about how much you should be drinking during the game to keep your body mass at an equal amount. As stated earlier, one of the major causes of fatigue is due to the depletion of carbohydrate stores. When this occurs, the body becomes slow and performance is affected. Research conducted concluded that prolonged exercise, which resulted in fluid losses equivalent to 2.5% of body weight, resulted in a 45% decrease in high-intensity performance capacity. This research conducted also proposes that when dehydrated, the brain, which is 73% water, is unable to make rapid decisions as well as it could if hydrated. Furthermore, the major risk of becoming dehydrated or fuel depleted includes an earlier onset of fatigue, disallowing for continued intense efforts, negatively affecting performance. Now that we've covered pre-comp and during comp, what about post-comp? What should Hayes be eating and drinking? Well, post-competition recovery aims to refuel muscle glycogen, repair muscles, and rehydrate the athlete as quickly and as efficiently as possible. In the first hour after exercise, the muscles within the body are able to store and synthesize carbohydrates more effectively than at any other time. When the correct food is eaten within this crucial period, it has the ability to enhance the rebuilding of microtrauma suffered by the muscles as well as restore glycogen stores. Within the hour after exercise, Hayes should consume foods high in the glycemic index to promote the resynthesis of glycogen stores lost through exercise. These simple carbohydrates should provide at least 1 to 1.5 grams of carbohydrates per kilo of body mass to rapidly restore energy stores. In this recovery period, protein also becomes a crucial element to aid in muscle recovery and growth. Within protein, smaller units called amino acids aids in repairing the microtraumas suffered by the muscles in intense exercise. Research suggests that the optimal post-exercise meal has a 4-to-1 ratio of carbohydrates to protein, as it allows the body to enhance its nutritional recovery due to the increased presence of insulin, stimulating growth and muscle glycogen intake. Examination of this theory further proposes that as little as 6 grams of protein post-match has enough amino acids to accommodate to the above health benefits. Furthermore, if Hayes includes the suggested 1.4 to 1.7 grams of protein per kilo of body mass in his daily diet, he will have more than enough to repair minor bruises and muscle damage caused by exercise. Regarding rehydration, Hayes should aim to consume 100 to 50% of fluids lost through exercise post-match. It is noted that it can be difficult for some athletes to consume this amount of water in such a short period of time, so the use of hypertonic sports drinks is advised. Hypertonic sports drinks act to quickly replace fluids and electrolytes lost through sweating without the carbohydrates. If Hayes does not meet the required ratio of carbohydrates post-game, isotonic sports drinks could interchangeably be introduced to rehydrate and replenish glycogen stores also. To wrap it up, our final question of the night comes in from @clark.gretz, and they ask, what food would you suggest as a ratio of 4-to-1 for recovery? Well, as seen in the nutritional plan, it is recommended that Hayes consumes pre-comp snacks such as a dairy-based fruit smoothie, ham, cheese and avocado sandwich, 2 bean wraps, sushi, and chocolate milk. Furthermore, from experience, Hayes will determine what he can handle post-exercise and begin to formulate his own ideas. Overall, it is important that the athlete does consume a meal which is practical to make and bring to the game, as well as have something that they will enjoy. This is why chocolate milk continues to be one of the best recovery foods out there. So, that's all we have time for tonight. Thanks to everyone who contributed to our nutritional plan discussion. For further information, see our social media pages at PNFPP. On behalf of Peak Nutrition for Peak Performance, I wish you good night.